Greetings, Guardians. My name is Bife here. You ever get the feeling that you're digging away at things that are far bigger than you are? I got that feeling reading something on the first week of the season, or rather hearing someone say something. Today I want to go a bit further and dive into the seasonal lore, and in particular I want to discuss the artifacts that we're collecting. There's this odd web of circumstance that seems to touch each of these artifacts, as well as a lot of the other key areas of Destiny's lore that present themselves here. And there's also some key characters that I want to discuss in particular, who clearly aren't telling us everything. Some of this may be purely coincidental, but I doubt it. And I think it's even more important to understand it because lots of this goes to an important point of asking us whether we trust some of the characters that are on our crew, so to speak. So, our relic hunt begins, but I have questions. Namely, what is Mithrax not telling us? Initially, this question might seem strange, but it's not surprising in that sense, because Mithrax has had our trust from the very beginning of the Season of the Splicer. He has put himself forward and has given us next to no reason to distrust him ever since he has proven his loyalty. Granted, he did originally try to kill us the first time he saw us, but then again, things were very different back in those days. And for the most part, it seemed as though the seasonal story was going to simply be just another good old-fashioned pirate story, swashbuckling and finding our way to buried treasure, beating out our rivals in order to get to the riches first. But there's a few sentences that have really jumped out at me over the last few weeks, and they caused concern because they seem to obviously point to that idea again, that Mithrax knows something more than what he lets on. Firstly, we have this line here from Mithrax, which was spoken at the beginning of the season, and it makes me really suspect that there was something wrong and something more behind the return of Eramis that he didn't really want to let on. Something that he knew that was from deep in the past. Take a listen.
Guardian, I thought the Elixni had moved on from such senseless brutality. It seems I was mistaken. Eramis has awoken, and has summoned the old crews to aid her. Regrettably, it falls on you to stop them. For that, you will require a star chart and a captain's atlas. Spider had these antiques in his collection. Use them if you must, but remember that you are a guardian, chosen by the light. These pirates, brutal remnants of our past, are not. Eramis chose to ally with them for a reason. They know the stars in a way even House Salvation does not. I fear that Eramis may seek... Pay me no mind. Raise arms against these pirates, and discover the truth for yourself.
So what is it that Mithrax thinks Eramis is looking for? Well, it can't be anything good, that's for certain. But if Mithrax knows of these relics, then it means that they must have been from the times of the old crews, and are clearly echoes of the Elixni's past. That actually helps to narrow things down a little bit, because it means that if we're going to look at where these relics come from, it narrows the field to something that is joint in the past of the Elixni and humanity. We know for a fact that the relics contain some kind of darkness energy. This is confirmed when Ido took a closer look at them and confirmed that the energies were contained and sequestered, as if they were being deliberately blocked. Take a listen.
Guardian, the artifact you recovered from the Pirate Lord's hideout has incredible research potential. I'll leave records of my findings here. Come by after you recover a new reliquary to learn what I've discovered. Spectral analysis indicates trace amounts of darkness energies radiating from within the vessel. However, the reliquary is made of a super dense substance, like a lead barrier around uranium. This leads me to deduce that the relic itself is likely quite powerful, and potentially harmful if handled directly.
So each of these relics sequesters something dark, and whatever's contained within the dark relics, well, Eramis is after it. That's mostly all that we knew by the end of the first week of the season's story, but then something further began to surface this week, and this only heightened my suspicions even more. Take a listen to this conversation between Spider and Mithrax in the Eliksni Quarter. I know everybody is pointing out the moment where the Spider is basically threatened point blank by Mithrax, but the reasons behind the threatening are much more important. Take a listen to it again.
Mithrax, my old friend. There's a matter I wish to discuss with you.
My people's concerns are my own. I will listen.
I hoped you'd say that. Rumor has it your new crew has been bringing back delightful baubles, pulled from the old shores.
Are you asking for a share?
Do you think me so petty? We're on the same side here. We have our eyes on the same horizon. Those relics resurfaced for a reason. The power belongs to us. We could have everything this time. We need only take it.
Your words are careless.
What? The Guardian? Huh. A trusted accomplice.
No, I did not imagine you would speak like that where I might hear you.
Come now, Mithrax. I know you. Think of your house. Think of your daughter. We could have everything Eramis wants. Wouldn't that be some lovely payback, huh?
You will leave that behavior in the past. You will not speak of it here beneath the Great Machine, or I will silence you.
There's no call for that.
Do you hear me, Rakis?
I hear you.
Never summon me like this again.
Get out. We're closed.
The important part of that dialogue is actually this bit here, before Mithrax starts threatening the Spider. Those relics resurfaced for a reason. Their power belongs to us. We could have everything this time. We need only take it. Why does this matter? Well, it seems pretty simple. It proves that Mithrax and the Spider know about what the relics are and what their power stems from. The Spider seems keen to claim such dark power, but Mithrax seems aware that the power is a pathway to ruin in some respect, or at very least he fears the power. This is where all the suspicious behavior has really started to stem from. There are a lot of references to Mithrax's past this season and the things that he's done. At one point, Spider even tells Ido that she doesn't know what her father is capable of. To me, this all spells danger, and that Mithrax is trying to run from a remnant of his past, or at very least is trying to protect people from it. This remnant of their past has clearly come up with the relics once again. Mithrax has also garnered a fair degree of infamy and respect from both Eramis and the Spider, thanks to his past life. They even question why he isn't the Mithrax of old, the cutthroat captain that was leading his crew. He clearly was once an infamous raider. In fact, this is the first capacity in which we met him. And as a leader of one of the crews, one could imagine that, at current, most of that part of his past is still unknown to us. It may well be a part of his past that he sees with a degree of shame. However, there is one sentence that was told from Eramis to Mithrax, which gives us a little bit more context. It tells us next to nothing, except, well, it tells us everything about the relationship with Mithrax and the Spider, and I think this is far more important than people realize. Take a listen.
Guardian, another Ketch engages us in battle.
Mithrax, I have heard you shelter Spider, that craven fool.
I am the Kell of House Light. I will protect all Eliksni who wish to live beneath the Great Machine.
So it is true. I wonder if he forgives you.
So what can we assess from this? Well, we can assess that at some point Mithrax and the spider had some kind of disagreement, and that Mithrax might have wronged the spider somehow from his perspective. We know this because Aramis asks Mithrax again, has the spider forgiven him? And I believe that this points to what happened before. The spider said in their previous conversation in the Eliksni Quarter, we could have everything this time, implying there was a time before. I think that in the previous instance, Mithrax and the spider were close to claiming the power of the relics, but Mithrax refused, and the spider was greatly aggravated by this fact. Whatever forced Mithrax to refuse such a claim on this power is unknown to us. This is what we need to really discover. But as it stands, there is clearly something terrible that lies within the relics, and this may be the reason why Mithrax was so unwilling to claim it so quickly and so easily. It's only clear now that Aramis wants these relics for some nefarious purpose, and the first entry in the lore book for this season, known as Between Stolen Stars, tells us in a sort of vague manner what Aramis is looking for in these relics. Take a listen to Thor, the first entry, which details the moment when Aramis broke free from the stasis crystal on the top of the Reese Reborn settlement where she has been lying since the end of Beyond Light. It reads as follows. You are cold, child. Aramis's world was a choking smother of darkness and pain. She could not move. She was only vaguely aware of the voice. We have a use for you. A mass of frozen splinters sealed her eyes. How long had she been here? We would have you find something for us. Something which was lost. The voice swirled around her like smoke, echoed inside her mind. Though terrifying, it was something to focus on amid the surrounding nothing. Who was speaking? Answer, said the voice, convincing and commanding. Aramis paused, as if in response. Her perception began to dim, and she felt the crushing darkness closing in around her once more. There was no fight here. This was no choice. She remembered her people. Yes, she thought, and the pain ceased. Gather those who would serve you, and know you serve us. A surge of images filled her mind, tendrils of inky vapor trailing through the stars, hidden vessels secreted amongst long-forgotten treasures, a whisper rising to a roar, the great machine beginning to awaken. And then, from everywhere, shattering. Arask sat in the heart of his ketch, lit only by the weak amber glow of his view screen. He frowned as he charted another trip through the Themis cluster with a quarter load of phase glass. The job would barely pull enough to cover the voyage, and ether reserves were dangerously low. How long could his crew... A blinking light caught his attention, chatter on a long-dormant channel. Arask leaned forward in his seat, his ancient leathers creaking as he moved. He tapped at the screen with one gnarled claw. The missive was direct and merciless. A jagged grin crept over his face. She hadn't changed. The comms system squawked from disuse. Below decks, a patchwork band of dregs and marauders looked up in confusion. A call's gone out, Arask's voice rasped from the speakers. Raise the old flag. We sail once more. So we can presume that this was the Witness speaking to Aramis here, because it uses the we pronoun when talking about itself, which corresponds with what the Witness has done in the past. Remember that the first line we hear from the Witness in the ending cutscene of The Witch Queen says, "We have seen enough." So this is more than likely the Witness, or at very least is some kind of other being that is amorphous and is sort of eldritch in the sense that it goes beyond the simple concepts of gender. It's something more than some simple mortal being. However, the exact nature of the object that we discover is not well known to us. I have a theory that is further developing, but for the moment I'm not sure I'm ready to share it just yet. There's not enough pieces for me to confidently put it out there. I feel as though we will know more if, at some point, we open one of these relics. Whether we will or not, we shall find out. The Drifter has more to say on this, and I feel like his past may also provide us with answers as to the mystery behind the relics, but again, I'll discuss that next week if more evidence comes to light. However, for the moment, these are the important things that we absolutely know. We know that Mithrax has seen these relics before. He understands that their power is seeped in darkness, and that he would stop anyone from using them. And perhaps most importantly, we know that he isn't telling us everything he knows. Whether or not we'll eventually wrangle the truth out of him is yet to be seen, but for the moment, there is a great amount of mystery surrounding these relics. Perhaps, much like old pirate treasure of legend, the relic's mystery is in fact a curse. But that's all from me for now. Thank you very much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a comment and like down below. Let me know what you think is going on with these relics. I certainly have my crackpot theory, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's correct, and you may have your own thoughts. We know a little bit, and maybe there's enough to sort of narrow it down. What do you think it's related to? Maybe someone's gonna bring up an old Elixir legend, such as the rise of the Kell of Kells or Skira the Watcher. There's all sorts of different things this might pull from. I'm just interested to see where everyone's heads are at. Of course, also, you should remember to hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to turn on those email notifications so that you can get more content from me on Destiny's lore as the Season of the Plunder continues. We'll not only be covering the seasonal story, but also I'm doing a full look at the raid that has just released, well, re-released, King's Fall, because as it turns out back in Destiny 1, I made no lore covering it. So I'm gonna go and give it the Vow of the Disciple sort of big lore coverage treatment and get as much content out there for you guys on the raid as possible. Of course, that is all from me for now though, and as per usual, know that your viewership is quite enough for me. And that in the meantime, my name is Byf. Perodacia ad Astra. I'll see you, Starside.